freshly picked and ready for consumption. Here comes another round of the Radishcast.
All right, another Radishcast coming in for you. I'm your fearless commissioner and cult idol, Mike Fisher. Along with me, just like every time, are my co-hosts Nick Spill Stoll and Jeff. Can we push recording off this week, guys? I'm hunting Gregory. Let's turn some rumors into facts. Nick, how you doing today? I know we're short a member today, but I think we'll be able to pull through without him.
Yeah, that's a sick ditch by Jeff there, but it's all good. A good excuse with hunting, so yeah, I'd be out there if I wasn't down in Tennessee. So
yeah, that's maybe we can find a way to squeak Jeff into this episode with some creative video editing or something of the sort, but barring any of that, I think it's going to be the two of us. But no, we got a good show, an interesting show planned today. Got some listener questions to go through that I actually, we're going to touch on right away. So I had some league members send me in some questions. Nick has not seen any of these questions. So we're going to get Nick's raw feelings on them, and I had a little more time to actually think about them, look at them. So my a little bit more calculated responses. So, all right, Nick, I'm going to throw you the first one we got. So one of the question was, who do you think is the front runner for Coach of the Year in the league? Taking all things into consideration, injuries. This doesn't have to be an MVP award for, whoever's just got the best record.
Team.
Who do you think is the best coach in the league right now?
So the best coach, I think, has to be Kyle Monroe. I am left-handed, has been making moves constantly. Me and Mike, before we started recording, we're talking about his team right now. It seems like it's been sent from the heavens or collusion between John and himself. So I don't know. His team looks good. He's been making some good moves. I don't know who's going to beat him, to be honest with you.
So I had some stats pulled up when I saw this question. I dove into CBS has some stats for me. So are you aware that Kyle Monroe has lost his team 14 points on the season by trying to be creative with his lineup choices? If he would have went with who the experts said he should pick, he'd be 14 points better off.
I still think it's a hard decision when you have so many good players is my thing. Yeah. I mean, now I think he's got his lineup set. I'm just trying to think back. When was he getting creative?
So let me compare this to you, for example, have won your team 2 games overall. So you've earned 2 more wins by going against experts' picks. So that's a coaching decision that you made.
That's true.
That won your team 2 games. Monroe's sitting dead even. He hasn't done anything coaching wise. He's done some GM things. He pulled the team together. But as a coach, is he really doing anything special?
That's true, but I mean, you got it to make those moves. I think that's even bigger coaching play than always starting the correct guy. If you're pushing, I feel like that should be decent. I want to know the league average on that. Do you have that off the top of your head?
On points, I can tell you the median.
Yeah.
The median is about 4 points gained is about the center point. We've got Jay's Juggernaut sitting at the bottom with 67 points left on the table.
Well, that's always with him.
Game. And
only one.
Only one over that time. And then the Southwestern Bandicoots at the top with 17 points. He's earned his team 1 additional win.
Okay.
So here's another name I want to throw out at you that I'm curious on. So Alex Cooley is second in the league in points earned over the experts. His team's sitting at 5-5. He's tied for the division lead. Saquon Barkley gets hurt at the start of the year. Is him overcoming an injury like that? Is that a case that holds any bearing with you?
He's in the conversation, but it depends how he finishes the year with Davis. Or he's not. When McCaffrey comes back, I don't see him making it anywhere. So I feel like you got to be in the playoffs and do something to really earn Coach of the Year. You have to put together a whole season, in my opinion. I would. So we'll see if he makes it and he does something in the playoffs. Then maybe. I think that's strong case, yeah.
And this is a regular season award. It's an award we will give out on our after the final regular season game in our playoff preparation special. So expect this question to be revisited in the future.
Yeah, and then I can look at some stats too. There we go. When that happens.
Oh yeah. Lead up to this. All right, so we'll jump on to the next one. So this is coming in from an anonymous source, but I think we can maybe take a guess as to who sent this in. But the question is, will Lick McCaff and my Dak, Coach Jordan Chartier, win another game this season? So
let's look at his schedule real quick.
I'll go ahead and pull that up real quick.
Yeah, pull it up for me.
So obviously we can talk to the fact that he will be getting Saquon back here for the end of the year. McCaffrey.
Yeah.
So that's got to help his team. And when he's got McCaffrey and Aaron Jones, that's got to give him some sort of boost in your eyes. So looking at his schedule, his next 3 games are going to be against the Aaron Rodgers football team. Tough. Grizzly Adams. Tough, but not impossible.
As tough.
SCLSU Mud Dogs. So he's got 2 5-5 teams to finish out the year here, as well as the Aaron Rodgers football team sitting at 7-3. Odds he wins one of those games.
I think he's going to beat Cools.
Okay.
If McCaffrey's coming back, right?
Yep, but I mean Jordan's receiver room is still questionable at best.
Suspect. I think he gets one. I think he pulls one off. Who is he playing this week?
Aaron Rodgers football team.
Yeah. Ooh, that is tough, Jordan. Oh, that's a good line. I am not sure. I want to pull for you, Jordan, say you're going to beat Cooley.
I think I don't necessarily think it's got to be Cooley, but I think I'd give him a 40% chance to pick up another win. Yeah. I don't think he does it this week, but I think between Cooley and Chartier, I think he's got, almost a 50% chance of picking up another win.
Yeah. I mean, you mean Cooley and Troy? I think Troy, yeah, he had a shitty game last week, but
here's the last thing to take into account. During the Troy game, week 13, that's the McCaffrey bye.
Oh. My odds just went down.
That leads me into my next to kind of a second portion of this question. So we know that this matchup between Troy and Chartier is the legendary tattoo bet. So the first tattoo bet of the league is coming in this matchup. No McCaffrey, terrible receivers. Is Aaron Jones and Rob Gronkowski enough to pull out a win against Troy, who just traded and got Joe Mixon and Allen Robinson added to his team? It's
and who is Henry playing? Who is?
Oh, I don't know, but that's probably one where
the week 13, is that what we got?
Yep.
Cleveland. No, I think
an okay matchup.
Cleveland. It's at Tennessee. I don't think he's winning. I think the only chance he has, I'm going to drop that percentage down to about 20% that he gets a win. I don't think he's beating Troy.
I'll keep it at 40. I think Cooley's his best chance, but there's an outside chance in any of those weeks, especially if you look at Tony Fisher. DeAndre Swift came in with a concussion this week, all of a sudden out of nowhere today, so his status is in question.
Will hurt.
Tony's running back room is really suspect this week, so there's an outside chance for this week too.
That is true.
So on that, Jordan traded away his first round pick earlier in the year. Do you think any of that has to do with the fact that he knew he had to compete for a tattoo come the end of the year? He's trying to stock up and beef up with adding Claypool and Bridgewater for the end of the year here?
I didn't love that trade. Maybe that was his thought process going into it. I think it's just not having faith in your team at the beginning. Taking Dak so early really threw him for a loop.
Yeah, and obviously the injuries that don't help at all. But But yeah, all right. Well, with that, we'll jump into our next question. So, right now there's 4 7-3 teams in the league. So we got yourself, Kyle Monroe, Tony, and Ben Stelzer. Of those 4 teams, who do you think is the worst? Who doesn't really deserve to be 7-3?
It's probably me or Tony.
Interesting.
When we're both healthy, I really like those two teams. I like Ben's with Cook back, and like I said, Kyle's is just sent down from the heavens.
Both of
So
those
I'm
teams are
gonna
sitting
say
second in their division right now. So as the standings stand
I
right
know.
now, you and Tony would get first round buys, and you're saying both of you are worse than the second place teams in your division.
I don't know. I think I might have to give it to myself, to be honest. Looking at my team, I'm getting carried by Wilson and Kamara and Gibson. Sadly, I mean I'm relying on just hit or miss games from Godwin and Chark, and Galladay's been out so often. But
Yeah, and I would
it's tough.
I would probably lean towards Tony in this one. His team seems very top heavy. Michael Thomas hasn't come through even the 2 games he's been healthy, 3 games he's been healthy. He's kind of riding some lightning that's got to crash eventually here. So
That is true. That is true.
all right, so flip side of the coin, we got 4 teams sitting at 7-3, all pretty good locks to make the playoffs here. But we also got 4 teams sitting at 5-5. At least 2 of these guys got to make the playoffs. Who's the most dangerous team sitting at 5-5 right now between Troy, Cooley, Stank, and Joe?
Ooh, it's going to be between Troy and Stank, I think, just because they have those big time players in Henry. Well, Troy, Henry, and Mahomey, and then Kyle with Adams. Let me go to Kyle. I think Troy's the most dangerous, but I would not want to play either of those guys first round.
So let me bring some food for thought for you here. You don't think that old man Joe? Listen to this.
He's
lineup.
been looking pretty good
Listen
lately.
to this lineup: Ronald Jones, Miles Sanders as your 2 running backs, Keenan Allen, AJ Brown, DJ Moore, and Brandon Ayuk as your flex. Between Hunter Henry and Eric Ebron at your tight end, there's not a hole in that lineup. You got Kirk Cousins and Jared Goff, but given the matchup, one of those guys is probably a solid enough play to keep you in it. That's a team that I think is sneaky.
It is definitely. He's definitely sneaky. Brown, Tennessee has been pretty inconsistent lately. Ayuk, when Devo comes back, I don't know if he's going to be as effective.
He also has Devo on his team.
Yeah, which might make it. I don't know. You're going to start Devo, but I mean, at the same time, it's just going to hurt both of their values.
I'm not so sure. I'm not seeing how they've used Ayuk versus Devo. It really just feels like they're trying to give Devo those handoff type behind the line of scrimmage quick passes, and they're using Devo a little bit in the intermediate, but looking down.
He did last year, Devo. Yeah, last year, Devo, that was his role, a lot of that intermediate stuff. So I don't know. Joe's team actually surprisingly sneaky.
If you got to pick one that you absolutely don't want to see in the playoffs, give me your 1-2. Give me the top one you wouldn't want to see in the playoffs, and your second that you don't want to run into. Troy, Cooley, Stank, Joe.
I think I'm gonna go. I don't want to run into Troy. I think that's where it lands right there. Let me look. Let me pull up the Southwest boys.
The old Bandy Coots. So you got Deshaun Watson, Melvin Gordon, James Robinson, Devontae Adams, Robbie Anderson, Adam Thielen now that he just added, TJ Hawkinson, Jarvis Landry's his flex right now. I'll have to check his bench to see if he's got something else that can. Tim Patrick, he can slide in there as his flex. That's a scary team. I think that.
Yeah, I think it's that 1-2.
I think the
the
Bandicoots are my number one that I wouldn't want to dance with everything on the line. Just knowing that Adams is always got that capability to put up a enormous game. James Robinson's playing out of his mind. Deshaun Watson's not. He's behind Mahomes for sure. Mahomes is consistently getting a ton every week. But Deshaun Watson can put that up any given time too. So
his floor, his ceiling is pretty high. That's what's scary about it when you look at the teams like Patty Mahomes ceiling really high, Derrick Henry ceiling really high. So those are the type of people I don't want to play where you could just get blown out.
I'd give the danger nod would go to Stank for me. I agree with you. It's probably Troy right behind that, just because of the firepower. I think Joe's got a really solid lineup. I think Cooley has some holes that are tough to overcome. You know, he's been, like we talked about earlier, I think Cooley's been having a decent year despite his bitchiness, but it's tough to overcome when you just have a pure hole in your roster. So all right, those are the questions I have this week. Just letting everybody know, if you have a question for us next week, send it on over and maybe it'll make the show. One last note before we get into our first segment. We will be doing a rivalry week recap next week. So in preparation for those rivalry week 13 matchups, we're going to go over all of the rivalry bets. So if you have not made your bet public, make sure you do that so that we can go over it next week. I think we have at least 4 or 5 of them in there, but I don't know if we have all 6. So if you haven't made that public, make sure you shoot it on over to the league feed so that we can all see it and we can touch on it on the show next week. So with that, let's hop into our next segment.
Baby watch.
Yeah, so Nick, I'll let you take over the baby watch here. We had some huge news in the old Husky chat.
Yep, the league feed. John Lamers impregnated his wife, Sarah Lamers. He tried to blame his shitty team on fornicating during the draft, and I don't buy that for a second. We all know, John, you don't last more than 3 seconds. So in between the first and second round, he was done, and he's back-to-back picks. So
yeah, we had 90-second picks. He could have gotten it done and still gotten back
very
to make
quickly.
His round. So
yeah. I don't buy that excuse at all. So
yeah, I can definitely get behind that. I will say I do like the addition of the bet to the old.
That is nice this
matchup.
week.
Yeah, this week that's a nice addition to keep the league interesting. But yeah, no, we all couldn't be happier for John, despite maybe using it as an excuse for some poor decision making. But
and looking forward, I guess it's a good idea to pass it on to the next generation. But 5% to a baby, man, sitting as his rival, I'm feeling pretty good.
Yeah,
that baby's not going to make too many decisions.
I will say, in my experience, babies have made bad fantasy football decisions more often than not. So with our most
I want some stats on that, though.
I will pull up as many stats as I can find. With our most recent baby news out of the way, let's hop into our next segment.
This here's the Radish Recap.
All right, Radish Recap. Taking a look at last week's games. Real quick, I'll touch on everybody's record. So last week I went 5-1. Nick and Jeff both went 4-2. So that brings the year's records to Jeff in the lead at 10-2. Me right behind him at 9-3, and Nick bringing up the rear at 8-4. So Nick,
where I want to be.
Me and Nick had to have a sit-down talk before all this. He's really got to get his picks in line. Both that and his garbage time all-stars, they've been lacking. So we're hoping to get a little more consistency out of what we expected to be a reliable analyst for us.
That's my bad, boys.
Yeah, so we'll hop on into the first matchup. The Exalted Archduke, yours truly, taking on I Am Left-Handed last week. I Am Left-Handed handed me a 133-92 whooping. No surprises here. We all picked it this way. I had some suspect plays, especially on the top of my roster. You look at Drew Lock and Dobbins and Taylor; they all sucked. So, Nick, was this inevitable, or did Kyle do something that actually got him this victory?
It was unavoidable, your loss this week. We all picked it. We all knew it was coming. About how we expected it. It was kind of a blowout. I mean, Locke, you were trying to get sneaky with it. I know Newton was actually projected less, it looks like here, but it's tough. I mean, Dobbins and Taylor, who else are you going to start? Really, you really didn't have an option here. Kyle's team is just that good too. I mean, the trade really helped too with Hopkins and Chubby scoring, what is that, 40 points between the two?
Yeah,
And then Kyle Murray having a 30 bomb himself. So,
and it's really looking like I might have to start getting a little cheeky here with my lineups going forward. You know, a guy like J.D. McKissick's playing really well right now. Had 14 targets last week, if I'm correct, in the passing game.
He pisses me off as a Gibson owner, but yeah, he's been doing pretty well.
Actually, 15 targets last week, 14 the week before. So he might have to be somebody I'm starting to play over a guy like Taylor, and that's tough to do, but you got to at this point. But yeah, no, it just there wasn't much coming back. You know, I will say Mike Evans, who he traded me, plus some picks for Tyler Lockett, outplayed Tyler Lockett, so I'm feeling better and better about that trade. You know, we were all expecting this year to be when Evans was going to hurt the most, so you know, a trade between us. Nick Chubb giving him a 50-plus yard run at the end of the game just to add some insult to injury.
No touchdown, though. No touchdown.
No touchdown. But yeah, no, this was a whooping from the start. You know, there's not much else to say on this one. Interesting trading away Thielen so quickly after acquiring him, coming right off a 2-touchdown game too. So it's interesting.
It is interesting.
We'll see how that plays out for Kyle here. If he's starting to kick himself down the line, giving up that asset to Stank here, and with that,
maybe he's trying to sell high though.
That's true. It's tough. I don't know if the value's higher after one game though. But anyway, we'll jump on into our next matchup. So here we had the Aaron Rodgers football team taking on the Southwestern Bandicoots. So Stank came into this one as a 14-point favorite. Ended up taking a big-time loss to Tony. Tony winning 125-80. This was one we all got wrong. We all believed in Stank here, and it was not that. What did you see in this one?
So here's the game. Finally, Devontae took a step back, and a step back with 14 points still.
Yeah, right.
So Swift, I was dead wrong on that one. He looks as good as he always had. We knew he was good as a Lions fan. We just wanted him to get the ball. Finally, it happened. He's going to be a stud, man. He looks good. So I'm happy for that. Tony, he's getting back on track. We'll see this week with Swift getting hurt. But, yeah, Kyle just did not put together a good game at all. You look at his starters, and it's 4 out of Gordon. That hurts. Robbie with only 4 against Tampa Bay. It's tough. That's tough. Yeah. Deshaun only 14 too.
Yeah, it was just an all-around, you know, his best players were average and his worst players were bad. So Stank had a tough time coming back. He was a guy who looked like he was getting hot. You know, we just talked about him as being one of the more dangerous, mid-level teams. So we'll see if he can pick it up against me this upcoming week. But for now, taking the loss to the Aaron Rodgers football team and letting him continue to roll. So with that, we'll hop on to our next one. Grizzly Adams and Coach Alex Cooley taking on Ball is Life and John Lamers. Lamers came in as a 4-point favorite, took the 8-point loss though. So Cooley took the win 88-80. I picked this one right. You and Jeff believed in John despite giving up most of his team. And I do understand we have a special someone in this game.
Nick's bum of the week.
Spare any change, sir? No, off!
So my bum of the week is DK. I'm only getting 3.8 points against the Rams. I mean, it begs the question, is Ramsey greater than DK? I don't know. This matchup, it seemed like it was. So bum of the week, he'll have a bounce back week next week. Actually, today he's playing, So
I will say, last time he played the Cardinals, which is who he plays tonight, that was a dud game, and that turned into 3 touchdowns and 20 targets for Tyler Lockett. You think he gets his revenge on Patrick Peterson tonight?
I do.
Okay.
I think he goes. I think he's pissed. I think he'll have a good game. I think everyone on that team is going to have a good game. I think it'll be a fun matchup to watch.
And honestly,
so I go ahead.
Oh, staying a little bit on track with this matchup, and John taking the loss. there was a lot of bums on both sides. Obviously, 80 to 84, not exactly a huge one. I know we had talked about James O'Shaughnessy last week being such a, out of nowhere player.
Wait a minute. Who are you?
Why is he playing O'Shaughnessy? And I brought it up, in our evaluation last week. O'Shaughnessy getting 0 points isn't necessarily going to kill you because tight ends have just been so bad. And on the other side, Jared Cook giving you the goose egg, which kept Cooley in it. If he had a tight end worth anything, maybe this ends up a little bit differently. But yeah, this was a low-scoring affair.
Also, I want to touch on Henderson getting a couple. Did Brown have 2 touchdowns?
One that I remember.
Oh, you got a touchdown vultured too, so that always will piss you off.
Yeah, it was a tough one but still, in my opinion, Henderson looked like the best back there. People have been kind of waiting on Akers to take over. Henderson doesn't look like he wants to give that up anytime soon. So, So with that, coming from that poo-poo scoring game to another not so high scoring game, but Benny and the Jets taking on Jay's Juggernauts. So Stelzer was a 23-point favorite in this one. Got close to covering it with the 106 to 88 win. Nearly a 20-point win here. We really thought Ben was going to roll and fly by him. Cook got held in check as much as Cook ever gets held in check. Still had 100 scrimmage yards, but no touchdowns, not all that many catches, and this one got a little bit close. What'd you see on Jeff's side? He had a couple underperformers, but did he have much hope despite Ben having a bad week?
Yeah, it was a surprisingly close game. The Mooney start I thought was going to be cheeky. I did it in another league. He just didn't perform. Chicago's defense holding running backs in check the last couple of weeks, man. They're pretty surprising. Looking forward, I wouldn't want to start someone against those guys. Tua, he didn't have another option, but yeah, it's rookies are going to have those kind of games, right? 14.76. They still look good. He still looked good, but wasn't a fantasy performer.
Yeah. It really just seems like every time Jeff needs to count on Rex Burkhead, he doesn't do anything. And then when he's got some wiggle room and he can leave Rex on his bench, Rex gets 2 touchdowns. So I'm sure Jeff's going to probably try to roll and play Rex here coming up with Mixon coming back and Bernard going down, and I'm sure that won't work out at all for him.
Yep, that sounds about right. That's the New England backfield right there.
Yep. So, with that one, moving on to our next one, we got Lick McCaff and Medak and Coach Jordan Chartier taking the loss to the Taint Ticklers. The Ticklers were a 20-point favorite. Didn't quite cover that with the 114 to 102 victory. We all picked this one right. We just talked about it at the start of the show. Jordan's really trying to pick up another win here. Not a bad game from Jordan by any stretch. He had quite a few good performances. Guys like Marvin Jones, Gronkowski, Bridgewater was okay. Boston Scott was better than you expected. He kept himself in this game, getting the dud from Gabe Davis and only 1 point from your kicker when you're getting 17. Those are tough to overcome. But this was, his team without McCaffrey played better than I expected.
Oh, me too. That Boston Scott start, he wasn't in there at the very beginning. He had Patterson in there, right? So I think he pulled him and put Scott in there. That's a smart coaching decision, I guess. It worked out for him. But yeah, Wilson only scored 9 points. At most games I will not win if that happens. Yeah. So Gibson picked it up pretty good.
So touching on that, Wilson, I can't remember if he played the Rams already or if he plays them again coming up. But, when you look at your lineup, you got a guy like Ben Roethlisberger, all 3 receivers playing really well. Does he ever come in, or are you just setting and forgetting with Russell Wilson?
Wilson plays the Rams again in the championship week. That's a tough sit. If Ben Roethlisberger keeps continuing as a good matchup, I will definitely think about playing him. He's been playing out of his mind the last couple games. So it depends who they're playing. Indy week 16. If I make it that far, I know if I make it that far, I probably am gonna roll with Wilson still. Hopefully he can pick it up, but I think I'm gonna. It'll be tough. It'll be a tough decision for sure.
Is there any defense if these two teams were playing each other? Pittsburgh Steelers defense, one of the best. Seattle defense, one of the worst. Are you playing Russell? Are you benching Russell Wilson for Big Ben?
Yeah, I think I am.
That's a situation where you are.
Yeah, I think I would.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like coming up.
I think I would.
Wilson's got Arizona, Philadelphia, Giants, Jets, Washington. Nothing really scary there. So I agree with you. That's probably
riding them the rest of the time. Yeah.
But I was curious if you were just sticking with him because he's Russ, or if you had any intention of maybe going the other way. But with that, we'll take a jump into our next one. So we got Old Man Joe and the SCLSU Mud Dogs. This was a really interesting one. We touched on it several times last week. Joe took the 114-64 win, just a blowout. Joe was a 17-point favorite coming in. This was probably the most interesting game of the week just because of what had happened the last couple weeks, the big trades between them. A guy like Ronald Jones that gets traded has 98-yard rushing touchdown, 192 yards. A monster game that hasn't been a consistent thing by any means. DJ Moore had 17 points, who he picked up in that same trade. Meanwhile, the Mud Dogs over there can't start Joe Mixon, who he got in the trade. So, is this kind of one to forget about if you're Troy, or should he be concerned?
One to forget about for now. That's a terrible score, 64 points. Patty Mahomes on bye. We'll see. Jones looks like the better back, sadly, with Fournette there. If it's a close game, Fournette's going to get those snaps as the third down back / pass catcher. So that's just what you got to hope for when you're playing him going forward. I know that's what I'm doing in my other league. But, yeah, another down game from Henry playing Indy. They kind of got smoked by Indy. Tennessee, yeah. That is.
And what's interesting is, we call it a down game for Henry, but 103 rushing yards. One catch for 6 yards. That's not much, but when your back's picking up 100 yards, other than if he's just not getting a touchdown, it's tough to trust a back who needs a touchdown for you to feel like he has a good game. He doesn't get those receptions that some other guys get. So, when he has a big game, it's a monster game because it's 2 touchdowns. It's 140 rushing yards. Mm-hmm. But he has the opportunity, to disappoint you if he doesn't get that touchdown. And I know you talked about Patty Mahomes being out, but Alex Smith, 390 passing yards. Same situation. He had the most passing yards on the week, but no touchdowns, so nothing to go with it. That's always tough to overcome. And the rest of the lineup was just meh. Was just kind of there. No one over 7 points on the rest of the lineup. So
yeah, the rest of the lineup looks bad.
And credit to Joe as well. Even if Troy lives up to his expectations, he was projected for 100 points. Joe's team came out and performed, and they kept that distance. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it was. I'd agree with you. I think this is more of one to forget. I don't think this is going to be a regular week for Troy. It was just really interesting with everything that went into leading up to this matchup. So with that, like I said, from now on, not including today's show, just because we don't have Jeff here with us today. But for next week's show, we're going to start taking our picks based on the line that's given. So to avoid us all picking favorites or all, not really having many upset picks, we're going to start picking against the line. So, for example, Nick was a 20-point favorite over Jordan in this one. He did not cover that, so you'd have to pick, Jordan to cover or Nick to cover. So after today's show, we'll integrate that in and start working with that so that we have a little more variance in our picks, hopefully. Today, though,
yeah, our records are gonna get worse.
This is true. So for today, we'll keep it as it is, and then, like I said, integrate that moving forward. So with that out of the way, let's move on to our next segment.
Ask me the questions, Bridgekeeper. I'm not afraid.
This here's Mike's. Will it happen?
So I got a question for you, Mike.
Love it.
Will anyone this year have a lower weekly score than Troy's Week 10 performance of 64 points? It is the lowest of the league so far. Next closest, I think, is 68.
It will not happen.
Ooh.
That was Mike's. Will it happen?
All right. With that out of the way, it's interesting going through the show without Jeff's segments here to break it up a little bit, but we're hopping right on into the next one and keeping it rolling.
Dive on into the Husky League matchups.
I hope everyone can appreciate the fact that I'm drinking a Miller 64 because I'm so far moved out of my house that this is all that's left. So
How long has that sat in your fridge there, Mike?
actually not that long. Me and Olivia
Oh.
had quite a few beers the other night, and when she drinks beer to keep herself from getting too over the top, she goes with the lower percentage ones. We drank a lot, so she needed it.
Power hour night?
It was, in fact. So we'll take a look at the matchups here. Our first one to preview is going to be the Taint Ticklers and you, Coach Nick, taking on I Am Left-Handed and Coach Kyle Monroe. So Kyle is an 18-point favorite in this one. Nick, what are you seeing? Do you like your chances on beating that and having a chance to take on Kyle, or are you writing yourself off?
I am writing myself off this week. I mean, if Wilson and Kamara and Gibson carry my team, but I don't know if Galladay's playing, Chark against Pitt, Godwin against the Rams. His lineup looks too good. Looking at everyone there, I don't think I really have a chance to beat him this week unless those key players, my top side, just go off. But so I can't expect that, and I'm going to take Kyle on this one.
Okay. I was back and forth on this one. I think I'm going to take you in this one. Kyler and Russell are both going to have huge games. I think Kamara has the chance to have a huge game in this one. I don't love Damian Harris. He's got the similar problem that Henry has, is that he's getting yards, but he's not getting touchdowns, and they're taking him out at the goal line. He's not getting the goal line carries that Derrick Henry gets, and so that's going to hurt him. I think Godwin's a sneaky good start against the Rams defense with Ramsey playing on the outside and worrying about those other two receivers. I think you got a good shot in this one. So to try to get a little bit of dissent in here, I'm going to go ahead and pick you. If there's one player for your team that has to step up in order for you to get a win, who would it be?
I think it's going to have to be... Well, I mean, I'd said the top side of my team has to perform just because that's my best chance of winning. But if Fant can finally do something, I mean, he's been so inconsistent. He was good at the beginning of the year. He's hurt a little bit, banged up going into Miami with a backup quarterback. I don't see it happening. I mean, we'll see. I mean, also, if Galladay doesn't play, I'm probably going to start – who am I going to start here? Let me look down here. Pittman. We can see he had a great week last week. 15 points, a decent amount of targets, and finding a little connection.
I'd be curious to see if the two Green Bay cornerbacks are back in this week or if they're out again, because that could be a sneaky start if you have Jair Alexander and Kevin King out again this game like they were last week against the Jaguars. So one to keep an eye on. I think this is going to be a really tight game coming down to the wire. So it's not by any means an easy pick, but like I said, I'm gonna go with Nick in this one. So moving on to our next one. So we got myself and the Exalted Archduke taking on Kyle Stankowski. Stankowski is a 13-point favorite right now. Looking at this one, I think I hit him at a decent time. I think James Robinson going against Pitt is a bad matchup. Melvin Gordon going against Miami, that's a surprisingly bad matchup. Devontae Adams against Indianapolis. I think really all of his studs just don't have the best matchups this week. And I think that really helps me. So I'm actually going to take myself in this one. I think, despite Stank being a hefty favorite, I think I have a good shot to overtake him. What are you seeing in this one? You giving me a shot?
So I went back and forth on this one, actually, because of all those factors. And Elliott back against Minnesota, I kind of like that. I'm back and forth. Well, Devontae, did he practice today?
He did. He was a limited participant.
He did
Yes.
not practice.
He did not?
He didn't practice. Just
All
picking.
right. There you go.
For that reason, I am out on Stankowski. I'm gonna pick you, Mike.
The clean sweep for the underdog. Look at that.
Yeah, and I was going into this before I heard about Devontae not practicing earlier today. I was picking Kyle. We'll see though. I mean, I do have someone special in this game.
Is it by chance?
Nick's garbage time all-star.
I'm the trash man. I come out, I throw trash all over the ring, and then I start eating garbage.
So my garbage time all-star is he even starting him?
He's not
Tim
right
Patrick.
now, but he might have to if Adams is out.
If he hears this, I mean, it could be a sneaky start there. I like Tim Patrick as a garbage time all-star. It's tough when Locke, I don't know if he's going to play this week, but Denver's playing like dirt, so I got a good feeling. They're playing Miami, right? So
Yeah. I think
Miami's playing good.
You say that he might change his mind when he hears this, but your garbage time all-stars have not really come through so far. But
That's true,
this is
but
the
he
one,
might not have a
right?
choice. He might not have a choice.
this could be the one. Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think Tim Patrick's a sneaky good play, and so I like him overall. So I think
Would you
he could
play
be
him
one of
over
those.
any of those guys in there right now?
Jarvis Landry has not been someone I've been super excited about lately. I really thought he was going to step up with the Odell Beckham injury, and he just seems to kind of be status quo. So that's somebody that I'd look at pivoting away from if I had the chance. But again, not my team. So we'll see if Stank can make the right call.
And also, Hunt and Chubb, both Chubby's back, so there's even more touches going that way, right?
Yeah, they don't like to do anything outside of that. So going into our next lineup, so we got Grizzly Adams and Coach Alex Cooley, Jay's Juggernauts and Coach Jeff Gregory. So my show doc has Cooley as the 1-point favorite, but looking at it live right now, it's flipped, and now Jeff is the 1-point favorite. So that's how tight this one is looking. What are you seeing in this one? Is it really going to be that close, or are the experts wrong on this one?
I do think it's going to be that close, but I'm taking Jeff. I'm taking Jeff on this one. Jacobs, I think if they can control the ball against Kansas City,
Like they did last
they
time?
he could have a big game. Ridley, hopefully, I think he's going to come back this week. Was he limited participant today?
Ridley?
check.
Yes, he was.
Limited, yeah. So him back, it's looking good with Matt Ryan. I think that game might be kind of a little bit of a shootout, actually, even with Winston there. I think we'll see. I think that game's going to be high scoring, but
Yeah.
I'm taking Jeff.
And I'm going to go the total opposite way on this one, if I'm being honest. So when I'm looking at this game, other than Terry McLaurin, kind of Calvin Ridley, there's no one on Jeff's team that I'm like, man, great start. Love that guy this week. This guy's a no-brainer. Gio Bernard looks like Joe Mixon might be back, might not be. So that's kind of a toss-up as to what that looks like. But when you look at Cooley's side, I mean, Kelsey's a slam dunk right now. Deontay Johnson's playing great. CeeDee Lamb's going against Minnesota's terrible secondary. I just think that Cooley has enough guys to overcome any sort of difference. And I think that Cooley's going to take this one. So as much as it pains me, I am going to go with the bitch on this one.
CeeDee Lamb, Dalton's back this week, and they had a bye week last week, so maybe they'll look a little better, but we'll see. I think Cook is just going to run all over him. And
yeah, Cook is going to have a monster game. So, which brings us right into our next one. So, Coach Benny and the Jets riding the thunder that is Dalvin Cook against the STLSU Mud Dogs. Troy is actually a 5-point favorite in this one, despite Cook having the juicy matchup. And for Cook's juicy matchup reason, this is going to be
Mike's against the expert's pick.
Are you gonna listen to a big dummy, or are you gonna listen to me?
Correct answer. You're gonna listen to me. I think Aaron Rodgers plays well enough to keep up with Patty Mahomes, and I think Dalvin Cook outduels Derrick Henry in this one. Beyond that, I think their teams are pretty comparable, and I think that Coach Ben takes the win on this one.
Yeah, so looking at these two lineups, I like Ben in this. I mean, he has Diggs in there on bye, so that kind of is going to throw off.
Oh, that'll actually even
What
skew
did you
the
say?
line.
Yeah, exactly. So Diggs is on bye. I mean, he has what?
Valdez
Miami's running
a great one.
Miami's running back. He might put it. Oh, but that's wide receiver, and he has Hunt in his. Yeah, it's just Valdez. It's not gonna give him too many points there.
No,
but
especially because we got Alan Lazard coming back this week, so maybe Russell Gage is the one the answer there. I don't know where he's gonna go, but it'll be a couple points that he'll maybe pick up. I've still got to go with Ben in this one.
I'm going Ben too.
I see.
And Connor's been suspect lately. I think it's his time against Jacksonville's defense to get a touchdown. I think he's going to get a touchdown this week. So, I mean, Cook's going to go off if Connor gets a touchdown. Aaron Rodgers might take a step back, but you never know with that guy. Whenever you think that a defense is going to be too much for him, he just performs. So
who do you have in this one again?
I got Ben.
All
I'm
right.
taking Ben.
Ben for both of us, it sounds like. All right, so moving on to the next one, we got Lick McCaff Medak and Coach Jordan Chartier against the Aaron Rodgers football team and Coach Tony Fisher. Looks like right now Tony is the 14-point favorite. Maybe updated, looks like 11 points now. So still about the same. Tony double-digit favorite in this one. Justin Herbert's been playing fantastic, so at least he's got a good pivot with Josh Allen being on bye this week. Outside of that, Jordan, we've talked about it. When his running backs are healthy, he's going to be dangerous, but his running backs just aren't healthy right now. He's still got Aaron Jones, but no McCaffrey again. And then their receiving core has been hodgepodge all year. Is there any hope for Jordan? Is there a player on Jordan's team that if has a great game, this swings for him?
I don't think so. I mean, Hyde is a decent start with Carson now being downgraded to out. We'll see if he gets all the touches because what's his name? Collins?
Alex Collins, yep.
Yeah, from Baltimore way back in the day. He might still get some touches even with Hyde in there. So I'm going to take Tony in this one. Okay. I mean, even with Swift and the concussion, he might not play, but looking through Jones, he looks like he's banged up, and Galladay might come back this week. That could hurt his value pretty significantly. So Lazard in the starting lineup. I don't love Jordan's lineup. Most weeks I don't love it. But when his running backs are back, I'm going to be more inclined to pick him. But I think Tony's just too good this week.
Yeah, and actually I'm I don't love Jordan's lineup either. There's a lot of danger here. But I think I'm going to give the nod to Jordan in this one to take an upset. Maybe I'm doing this because the Benny line will change when he swaps Stephon Diggs out, and so that wasn't truly an upset. So I'm going to take Jordan in this one, surprising myself even right now. Wow. I know DeAndre Swift had the concussion, so maybe he doesn't get a full week of practice even if he does go. Brian Hill of the RB2 going against the best
that's rough.
The best running back defense in New Orleans in the league right now. You brought up a great point. Carlos Hyde's the number one right now for that game tonight. Aaron Jones is always a dangerous play. It doesn't matter what the defense is. Claypool's got a good matchup with Jacksonville. Marvin Jones, if Galladay doesn't go, is a great matchup against Carolina. I think Jordan has
sneaky upset.
Jordan has the ability, and so for the sake of again having the upset, having a dissenting pick here, I'm going to go with Jordan. I think he's got a good chance here.
And Thomas with Winston in there, who knows? I mean, last week he didn't perform.
It's true.
So he could have some duds. Tony could have some duds on his team. It really depends on if if Hyde goes out there and scores some numbers for him, I think Jordan's going to sit actually pretty here.
Yeah. So going into our last matchup, we got Old Man Joe and Coach Joe Thomas against Ball is Life and Coach John Lamers in the dad off. We got some dad side bets on the game this week. Who's got the dad vantage on this one?
I am taking Joe as the dad vantage. We just talked about his lineup being pretty solid all the way around. I mean, they could have some down weeks, but when they're up, they're up. And I like him. I mean, Clyde was in illness today. I think he should play for Ball is Life, but that could be something to keep your eye on. Akers, he's starting Akers in there. I don't love that. And so I'm going to start Joe I'm going to take Joe. His lineup just looks a lot better. Even with he's constantly rolling with 2 tight ends.
Yeah, that's a bold strategy with how bad tight ends have been in general this year. I got to agree with you, though. I got to take Joe in this one. There's just every player as I go down the list for Ball is Life, it just screams danger to me. Jameis Winston, his first game starting, that's a dangerous play. Clyde with the illness, dangerous. Cam Akers isn't even the running back 1 on his team. That's danger. DK Metcalf, like I mentioned earlier, Patrick Peterson locked him up last time they played. That's some danger here. Jerry Jeudy could have his quarterback out. Antonio Brown could draw Jalen Ramsey coverage all day. Jared Cook has Jameis Winston throwing him the ball, which is not a good thing. There's just nothing but danger on that side of the ball. So I really
will he swap Winston and Tim after the good performance from Tom Brady last week?
I would,
even though they're going against the Rams.
I would have to think so. I am not really sure. I mean, Atlanta's got that terrible defense, so maybe it's a good high upside play here where if Jameis comes out and throws for 1,000 yards and 6 touchdowns in this game.
I have some inside information saying I wanted to give you guys a good laugh on the podcast talking about Winston, but I actually don't even think it's that terrible of a start. It could really low floor, but a pretty high ceiling if you really think about it. But I think the safer bet's Tim for sure.
Yeah, I'd agree there. So that's definitely interesting. I'm curious how some of these are going to play out. And it looks like Jeff might have had a little bit of a break in hunting. He was able to join us today. How's it going, Jeff?
Good. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, we can hear you just fine. I appreciate you stepping away from. I know you shot a 9-pointer. I appreciate you, taking the time to come in and do the show anyway.
No problem. Anything for my friends.
Well, I love it. Love to hear it. So I know you don't have a lot of time here, so maybe I'll toss it over to you if you just want to. We just went through all the matchups. If you want to throw all of your picks in there, just let me know who you have in each of the individual games.
Oh, sure. Okay, let's see. Well, I'll start with my own game, and surprise, surprise, I'm going to pick myself to win it.
Okay.
It's a close margin, and I know the last time I bet on myself in a close game, the game of the week, I won. So I'm going to do that again.
Love to hear it.
Gotta bet on yourself.
Gotta. All right. Then, let's see. The next game, Taint Ticklers versus I Am Left-Handed.
Okay. Who do you got in that one?
I've got to take Kyle.
Okay.
In that one.
All right. Sick
That's
burn
tough.
to Nick over there. That hurts.
Yeah, I know it.
All right.
Sorry, Nick.
We all picked him though, so that's fine.
I think I picked the Ticklers this week.
You did?
I did. I took the Ticklers. So
That's right.
all right. Who's our next one?
Let's see. Next, the Mud Dogs versus Benny and the Jets.
Okay.
Here, I gotta pick Ben.
All right. Benny and the Jets taking down the Mud Dogs in that one.
Yep. All right. Next game. What is your name? The Exalted Arch something?
The Exalted Archduke Fish. You know this. You've been in the league for 10 weeks.
Against Southwestern
Bandicoots. Yep.
There it is. It
Southwestern Bandicoots.
I've gotta say, Mike, you're gonna take this one. An
I
underdog.
I agree with you on this one.
Yeah.
Wow, I did not see that coming.
All right.
Sorry.
A couple more.
All right. Next, we're going to Aaron Rodgers football team
Yeah.
versus Lick McCaff and whatever else it says
My
there.
Dak. Yep.
My
The
Dak.
classically named team.
All right. Well, here Tony's going to win this one over Jordan.
Taking Tony. All right. The Aaron Rodgers
Taking
football team.
Tony. Last one, Old Man Joe versus Ball is Life.
Okay.
The dad off.
The dad bowl.
The dad. I got to take Joe over John in this game.
Interesting. Those are all good picks. I know you don't have a lot of time to go in depth, but I do have 2 segments I want to throw by you if you got a chance. You got enough time for the 2 segments?
Yep, let's see them.
Okay, well let's start with the one we were talking about last week. So we're looking at all the coaches from last week, and let's hear about your
Jeff's worst coach of the week.
Well, this is where I named Troy as the worst coach. Is that right?
That's if that's the
Oh,
one
yeah.
you got Troy as your worst coach of the week.
Yeah, I gotta. I was telling Mal the other week
Oh yeah.
about this epic trade that happened where Troy gave all of his next year's draft picks away.
Oh.
And then he played the guy he gave him to, and I was like, well, he's really looking to win this year. He's got to get a win. And then he gets his ass kicked and scores like 64 points.
You're right. The worst score of the league so far. We talked about that. Yeah, that's
sorry.
a tough one.
Yeah, earlier in the episode.
Sorry, Troy.
Yeah, Troy getting ripped on by Jeff here as your real worst coach of the week. So, all right, I appreciate that. So we got one more segment for the week coming up. I know this has got to be a guy that scored 20 points last week, and you think's going to do it again. So let's hear
Jeff's Keep On Cooking.
Who wants some man meat? I do. I want some man meat.
All right, the keep on cooking player this week is gonna be Hopkins.
DeAndre
Scored over
Hopkins,
25. Yeah, scored over 25 last week, and I think he's gonna do it again against Seattle.
That's good. He's got a good matchup against Seattle tonight, so we'll be able to know by the time this episode airs tomorrow if you were right on that one or not. So,
all right.
I appreciate it. I know you got to get back to some hunting and maybe go field dress that deer that you shot or something like that. But we appreciate you.
Something like that.
Yeah, we appreciate you taking the time and thanks for stopping in.
Yeah, thanks. I was just talking to Mal earlier today, and she said she was laughing to herself all day, wondering how she got herself in a position to be talking fantasy football with some guys. So. I'll go tell her.
That's perfect. I appreciate that. Thanks, Jeff. Pleasure having you back here.
Thanks, Jeff.
See you guys.
See you later. All right. Well, we got that one out of the way here. So we are gonna hop over to probably our last segment of the day. I know Jeff didn't have enough time to stick around for it, but let's get into it.
Shut up, baby, I know it.
Shut up, baby, I know it. Absolute guarantee.
So our absolute guarantees of the week. Nick, I'm going to let you take the lead with your absolute guarantee this week.
All right, my absolute guarantee this week is Jeff will finish with a better record or the same record as John Lamers.
Better or same than John Lamers?
The same, yeah.
Okay. John Lamers has currently got a 1-game lead in that, I believe.
Yep.
So, well, that's solid. So with that,
baby, I know it.
Yeah, I appreciate you
Shut
doing
up,
that.
baby, I know it.
I had to jump back to my other screen. So no, that's good. It's interesting. Kind of going to be a season-long one. I'm actually going to jump back to a question we had earlier today. I know everyone's wondering, Jordan's wondering, is he going to get another win this year? I'm going to go out on a limb and give it my guarantee, Jordan, even though I gave you a low percentage.
40%.
You're going to get a win,
yeah.
whether it's this week, next week, or against Troy in that final week. You will
So
get a win this
That
week.
bumped up to 100.
Shut up, baby, I know it.
100% guarantee, Jordan. I'm giving you the confidence. I'm giving your team the confidence. They're going to hear this Radishcast, and that'll just inspire them. So hopefully they come through for you. I don't know. Nick, you got anything else?
That's all I got. I'm glad Jeff could join us for a couple seconds there. I know it's hard when he's in the middle of nowhere to get service. I'm glad he found some
how he got
time.
enough service to do it. That place looked really nice in the background too.
Impressive. It kind of looked like his house.
Yeah, weird. Well, with that, we appreciate everybody taking the time to listen. Good luck to everyone out there, unless you're playing one of us. We'll see you next time.
Webster's Dictionary defines radish as a swollen, pungent-tasting edible root high in potassium, which can help lower blood pressure. Or more importantly, three guys spitting nonsense and talking about fantasy football. Add salt and pepper and chomp into another episode next time. See y'all later.
Shut up, baby. I know it.